North Carolina's offense is electric, one of the top in the nation. But on the other side, Miami's defense is just about at the same elite level. Something's got to give.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Friday, October 13th, 2023. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. Welcome into you everydayers, where you're getting your Tar Heels content every single day. What we're doing right now, we have our full-length show for Friday. You can check that out. I'm going to link to it right up here. With Coach Rob, we're talking about live action for tonight and a few other things, but wanted to make sure to still get you the what to watch for the Carolina football game against Miami tomorrow on Saturday, as well as a little bit of a Schadey Stat of the game look ahead, something you can be watching for there. So for those of you that aren't familiar with this, what I always do is give you a what to watch for, or I give you 4 things to be on the lookout for in the Carolina football games or basketball games when we're doing that. So I want to give you those. We'll be in and out in hopefully just 10 to 15 minutes, just a short little primer for you coming right now. So number 1 in the what to watch for, something's got to give. Let me give you some numbers. Miami's defense hasn't allowed 100 rushing yards, has not allowed 100 rushing yards in a game this season. Yet the highest they've allowed is 99 to Georgia Tech last week. They allowed 97 to Texas A&M. But other than that, it's been much lower. Now, sack yards in college football, you got to remember, are factored into that. So maybe in totality, they have allowed 100 rushing yards in the game, but just go with me, if you will. On the passing side, their defense has only allowed 300 passing yards once, and in 3 of their 5 games, they've allowed under 200 passing yards. That's phenomenal by the Miami pass defense. And in totality, the Miami defense has only surrendered more than 300 yards of total offense one time. That was to Texas A&M. Now, caveat, as we look at this outside of Texas A&M, the other 4 teams they've played are Miami of Ohio, Bethune-Cookman, an FCS team, Temple, and Georgia Tech. Not exactly a 1927 Yankees murderers row of offense you're looking at there, but still really, really good. But while Miami's defense is really good, as you and I well know, that North Carolina offense is off and clicking. Let me give you the counterpoint numbers that I just gave you with Miami's defense. North Carolina's offense has rushed for 100 plus yards in 4 of the 5 games and over 200 yards in 2 of the games, App State and then last week against Syracuse. The North Carolina passing attack, as you well know, is lethal. Drake Maye has passed for 200 yards in or more in all 5 games and over 400 yards now in 2 of Carolina's 5 games. And in totality, Carolina's offense has over 350 yards of total offense in all 5 games. And in fact, they have 500 or more yards of total offense in 3 of the 5 games, including over 600 last week. So something's got to give. Miami defense only surrendering 300 yards of total offense once this season. Carolina offense gaining 350 yards or more of total offense in every game this season. Which one do you think is going to win that battle? I've got my suggestion. I've got my guess. You probably do too, but we got to see it played out on the field. That is what to watch for, number 1. Let me give you the second one. It deals more with Carolina's offense, but specifically Tez Walker. As you'll recall last week, Tez Walker was deemed eligible on Thursday, had a walkthrough on Friday, and then went out there and played. And as you know, given that little bit of prep, did great. But the question now is, what can Tez do with a full week of reps with Drake Maye, with the receivers where they need to be and all that? So I'm expecting to see Tez and J.J. Jones outside and Nate McCollum in the slot as the starting receivers. And then don't forget, you got your full complement of the 3 tight ends, Kamari Morales, Bryson Nesbitt, and John Copenhaver. Last week, Drake Maye had completions to 11 different receivers. That's insane stuff. You don't expect that every week. Part of that was the blowout nature of that game, and that's just what happened. But Drake Maye is going to continue to spread the ball around. But as you well know, there's going to be a game when Tez is going to pop. I think Miami is probably going to focus a ton of their attention on Tez. And who's that going to leave open? Well, I don't know. Just Nate McCollum, who has been the ACC Receiver of the Week twice already this year, or J.J. Jones, who 2 weeks ago had a career day with over 100 receiving yards. Or Bryson, it's just coming at you. So what to watch for? What does Carolina's offense look like with a full week of Tez Walker? And how does Drake Maye continue to spread that ball around to all his receiving threats? Got 2 more things to tell you for our what to watch for, plus a look ahead to a potential historic Schadey Stat of the week. We'll talk about that in just a second, but first I need to tell you that this little mini episode of Locked On Tar Heels is brought to you by our good friends at FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app is super easy to use, and you can bet on all sorts of stuff, like spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Carolina's favored by 3.5 in this game. Will they cover? We'll find out. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, let's get right back into this what to watch for. Number 3, really interesting thing to watch here is who wins the turnover battle between these two teams. It's been a major storyline in particular recently for Miami. The Miami defense has gotten 9 turnovers this year so far, 3 fumbles, 6 interceptions. On the flip side of that, Carolina's offense has only surrendered 5, 1 fumble, and then 4 interceptions by Drake Maye. Obviously, those were earlier in the year, hasn't had an interception now for a couple games. So kind of we talked about something's got to give. That's another part of that Carolina offense versus Miami defense. Who wins the turnover battle there? Now, on the other side of it, the Carolina defense versus the Miami offense, it's dead even. Carolina's defense has 8 takeaways, 1 fumble, and 7 interceptions. Miami's offense has 8 giveaways, 4 of each. Now, you need to know that 5 of those Miami turnovers were all last week against Georgia Tech. 3 interceptions from Tyler Van Dyke and 2 fumbles, including that very costly one at the end of the game that honestly should never have happened had they taken a knee. So who wins the turnover battle? That could be a major storyline in what I'm watching for number 3. What to watch for number 4? There are 3 really interesting big general season storylines going on in series against Miami storylines going on. It's 3 things. Number 1, can Carolina stay undefeated while getting to bowl eligibility? And can they extend their winning streak against Miami? So as you well know, North Carolina right now is 5-0. If they win this game, they will be 6-0, and that means they're bowl eligible 6 games into the season. Unbelievable stuff there. Not only that, but Carolina right now has a 4-game winning streak against the Hurricanes and has this opportunity to extend it to 5. Carolina holds the series record against Miami 15-11. I don't think we would guess that without looking at the record books, but it is true. It was tied at 11. Carolina's won 4 in a row and could win another, making it 16-11 Tar Heels all time. But here's the thing. Expect a close game with it as we talk about this, what to watch for. Outside of the 2020 game when Javonte Williams and Michael Carter ran absolutely wacky with the ball, the other 3 games in that 4-game stretch right now, the streak that Carolina has, have all been by exactly 3 points. That's what I'm looking at in this game. Miami is a supremely talented team. Throw out what you saw last weekend. This should be a phenomenal game, and it should be a close one, probably decided by 3 points if history should tell us anything. All right, one last thing before we get out of here. You know, I always give you a Schadey Stat of the game on the back end of things. I want to give you a Schadey Stat look ahead, something to be watching for. It's something we talked about last week. Carolina has scored 30 or more points in each of its first 5 games this year. It's the 3rd time the Tar Heels have ever done that in program history. Interestingly, the 2nd time was just last year. So back-to-back years, Carolina has done this. But the only other time Carolina scored 30 or more points to start the season, each of the first 5 games, 1914. And here's why this is potentially historic. Last year, 2022, that streak ended at Game 6 against the Miami Hurricanes. Hurricanes. I think I said games. But in 1914, Carolina did get a 6th straight game of 30 or more points. So Carolina could match that record in this game Saturday against Miami. But the 1914 streak ended there. So if Carolina could do it this week and next week against Virginia, it would be an all-time program record. Here's the thing about that 1914 team, though. That 6-game streak, they scored 40 or more points in each of those. Wild, wild stuff. Well, hope that gets you ready for the game against Miami on Saturday. Should be electric on Saturday night in Kenan Stadium. Make sure you're either there or tuned in from the kick. Thanks so much for tuning in. Want to remind you to come subscribe to the show anywhere you subscribe to podcast, video, or audio. Smash the like button. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'd love for you to dive in with us on the Discord where we can chat all throughout the game and through the week. All right, we'll be back with you to recap the game next week. But until then, peace.